Testing, testing. There we go. Okay. All right. Ooh, the camera is not very high quality. Yikes. All right. At least the lava lamp is going. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm just going to do a quick test. And this will give some time for people to jump on if they are free at this time. I didn't necessarily expect everybody to be free at 5 p.m. on a random Tuesday after a long weekend, but that's good because I won't have as much pressure on me to do it live. All right, guys. Well, you will be watching this recording. If you're not here live, I will be sending it out via email. My puppy has to probably go pee in about 20 to 30 minutes. So I think we should be able to get everything in by then. If you guys know me, you know that I have a little bit of an ability to ramble when I answer questions. So I'm going to ramble probably a little bit, but just accept me and you can totally fast forward. I'll have these times marked or time stamped in the captions of the YouTube link that I'll send them to you on. Okay. All right. So I got some questions from a couple of different people. I am going to keep everybody anonymous today, just, because that's the respectable thing to do. If you ever send me a question and you want me to mention your name or give you a little shout out, I can definitely do that. But we are going to talk first a little bit about me because someone sent me a personal message. So I'm going to hit that one first and hopefully get into my stride with, yapping. So this person asked me, how has your nutrition changed, if at all, to fuel your new style of training lately? So if anybody's curious, what I'm doing now, I'm still working on a baseline of strength, 4 resistance training workouts a week, roughly, maybe 3 to 4. But I'm also getting back into running. I'm working with a coach because coaches need coaches too. My friend Alyssa is a running coach and she's helping me come back from this knee injury. Now that I'm feeling really good, she's helping me prepare for a 5K in February, which I haven't done in a long, long, long time. So I'm working with her, running 2 to 3 times per week. And then as of last week, I just started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes up here in Boynton Beach at this awesome studio owned by 2 women who are both world champions in Jiu-Jitsu. Like, how did I get so lucky to have access to that? I have no idea, but really cool place. So I'm doing a couple of new things or adding in a couple of new variables into my training lately. Like I said, there's still that baseline of strength work that I want to keep up because it's almost, I was thinking about this, it's almost like I can go on autopilot when I do those types of workouts, right? I just have been there so many times. I know what I'm supposed to feel. I know what I'm supposed to do generally. It's very familiar, very comfortable. I get to just kind of tune out. Maybe I can listen to nice music or think about other things while I'm doing it and still getting an effective workout. But this running thing, man, I used to be really pretty good at running, good endurance and everything. And it's very mentally taxing for me. I need like David Goggins in my ear constantly to motivate me to keep going. I think that'll get better as it gets easier. And then jujitsu, I mean, it's just a whole different beast. I'm constantly thinking during that class, but Josue just stepped in. Hi, honey. So how has my nutrition changed to fuel all of those different types of exercise that I'm implementing? The truth is not that much. I'm making sure that my pre-workout meal has plenty of carbohydrates in it. For me, that's like 1 to 2 cupped handfuls of carbohydrates, usually in the form of rice, or I've been doing cream of rice lately, which is a little bit easier to digest. I'll mix in some cottage cheese with it to give it a little bit of like saltiness and a little boost in protein. I just want to make sure that I have enough carbohydrates available because those will provide those bursts of energy that I need for more longer endurance types of exercise like the running and like the jujitsu. Helps me not drag so much. It's important for strength training as well. Don't get me wrong. But I tend to gas out a little bit easier with the endurance-based exercises as opposed to the strength training ones. I can kind of, my body has adapted to not need as many carbs during that type of exercise. So I'm just being a little bit more cognizant about getting enough carbohydrates. Today I went to jujitsu on an empty stomach, like nothing but coffee, and terrible idea. By the end of it, my brain was like foggy. I was like not able to like listen as well and like learn. I wasn't feeling sharp basically. So I know that that was probably because my blood sugar was very, very low. Protein is still as high as I can get it. I aim for upwards of 100. That's just most realistic for me. Ideally, I'd be getting like 130, 140 grams of protein based on my body weight, if not more. I have found in the last few weeks, for example, last few months, actually, when I was getting ready for our wedding and I was in a little bit of a cut, I just amped up my protein and instantly started feeling a little bit tighter and like my muscles were a little bit fuller. And I just really like how higher protein makes me feel. And it's not just placebo effect or anything like that. Protein is the macronutrient with the highest thermic effect or thermogenic effect, which means your body has to burn many more calories digesting it and absorbing it than it has to burn when it's digesting and absorbing carbohydrates or fats. So protein gives your body a little bit more of a hard time when it comes to assimilating and getting that protein to go to work. So that boosts your metabolism up to like 15% by some studies. So that's why I recommend it to everybody. Obviously, it's also provides the building blocks for maintaining and gaining lean muscle mass. So all about the protein. And then fats, I could be better with fats. I'm going to be honest. I need to be a little bit more, I need more like nut butter here and there or more avocado here and there. So funny story, Josue just got a new nutrition coach. It's not me. Who I think he actually knows what he's doing and has worked with a lot of different bodybuilding clients. So he has his meal plan that he's following right now, a very specific one. And we're just kind of making more than is necessary for him. And I just kind of get like the leftovers as they fit into my needs and my requirements. So that's what we look like right now, our nutrition, not anything special, still sticking to the basics. Pretty boring stuff. I'm not gonna lie. It's some people would look at my diet and think that it's super duper boring or repetitive, but it works for me and it fits into my routine. So it's the most realistic option for me. All right. I also had a question about pre-workout snacks. So what should I eat pre-workout? Does it have to be and then they gave a specific example. So my go-to pre-workout snacks, nothing fancy. Usually a protein bar will be fine. Something that's a little bit lower in fat. You always want to stay a little bit lighter on the fat side of the food that you're eating because fats just tend to slow down your digestion. So even if you do have some nice carbohydrates to get some energy and some nice protein to get those amino acids circulating and ready for repair during your workout, if there's a lot of fat, it tends to just slow down the digestion process a little bit more. And that's when you can not only not absorb or digest everything in a timely manner, but you might actually get some GI discomfort during your workout. You might get some bloating, might get some gas, might just not feel like all the energy is being utilized from that food that you just ate. So if anything, for pre-workout snacks, just go low fat or no fat if it's possible. I'll typically go for a protein bar or I'll do fruit and some yogurt, some Greek yogurt that's low fat, right? A little bit of fruit in there, some berries or a banana, nice, like ready to use carbohydrates. It's a simpler type of carbohydrate. The simplest type of carbohydrate would be like some juice or some candy, like something that is so easy to digest that instantly that glucose is in your bloodstream within 30 minutes. Berries and bananas, they have some fiber associated with them. So it might not be as quick of a sugar hit as just like Sour Patch Kids or something like that. So I like that a little bit more, especially because I'm not necessarily acclimated to those candies and stuff. They might actually make me crash a little bit sooner than I'd like. And then just remember your pre-workout snack. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could also just be like some leftover rice from dinner the night before, paired with some of the protein source that you have left over from dinner the night before. You know, there's your carbs and your protein, easy peasy right there. Something like a shake. If you have whey protein that has a little bit of carbohydrates in it, that might be good. Or you can add a banana and make a little shake out of that, a little smoothie maybe. So yeah, just remember the key there is to get moderate amounts of carbohydrates, moderate amounts of protein, and then your post-workout snack can basically just look like any other meal. You can start to include the fats just like you normally would with that post-workout snack. So pre-workout, you're thinking, okay, what's going to give me energy immediately and energy throughout the duration of my workout, right? If you just have the carbohydrates and you don't have the protein to help elongate that digestion process without the GI discomfort that fats give, then you might want to get a little bit more on the simpler side of the carbohydrates, if that makes sense. Okay. Along that same vein, I got one of my favorite questions ever. What are some nutrition considerations for getting strong and jacked? Who doesn't want to get strong and jacked, right? That's like the holy grail. That's always my goal anyways, to get strong and jacked. I don't want to project my goals onto you guys and assume that everybody wants to get strong and jacked, but it's a very commendable goal. Nutrition considerations. So what I told this person is that they've been on a very, very consistent regimen or routine with their nutrition and have really honestly made it like a 180 with their the way that they view food, their relationships with food. And I give that person a ton of credit. Maybe I was there nudging every so often, but this was some serious self-work that was done for this individual. So if you're watching, nice job. So this person has been doing a very good job of becoming more aware of how many carbohydrates they need, how much protein they need, how much fat they need, and how to space that throughout the day. So I told them they don't necessarily need to change much. What matters to me on the quest for getting strong and jacked is that you feel really good during your workouts, right? Because that's when the work is put in that will cause the adaptations of being strong and jacked, right? And when I say jacked, I mean adding muscle mass or maintaining muscle mass, right? Muscular hypertrophy and a little bit of body recomposition. So decreasing the body fat levels and increasing or maintaining the muscle mass levels, right? So that's in layman's terms, it's getting jacked, right? So really, I want this person to feel very, very energized for their workouts. I want them to feel energized throughout the workout and not just for the first 30 minutes and then they're really dragging at the end. I want them to be able to get under some heavy weight, right? If you guys read my email from this weekend, in order to get strong, you have to practice the skill of lifting heavy weights, right? And getting your body used to contracting all of those muscles in such a coordinated fashion and creating that maximal force output with whatever lift you're trying to get stronger in. Maybe it's all of the lifts you're trying to get stronger in, right? So as long as the food that person is eating can fuel that workout, that's like priority number one. If your workouts suck, then your outcome is not going to be as good, right? You really have to be able to push it in the gym. Secondly, always prioritizing protein. Always, always, always. Let's say that this person doesn't have enough protein in their diet. They're trying their best to push through their workouts, which they would likely feel a little bit fatigued without that steady stream of amino acids kind of rebuilding and recovering before, after, and throughout the night, you know, as they're sleeping. Anytime they're not in the gym is what I'm trying to say. We need that protein for recovery. So that person has to make sure that those amino acids are present, ideally in the form of whole foods, ideally in the form of minimally processed. But if you need to, you can totally have some ready-made chicken in the freezer, right? That's a very, very viable option. When it's already pre-made, you just have to thaw it out. That's totally viable. Maybe this person has a crock pot and they're throwing things in the crock pot every week. And that's an easy way to have some ready protein to throw in a Tupperware and take to work. Maybe they have a whey protein available, or if whey protein doesn't work with them, maybe they do have like a veggie source or a plant-based protein that is high enough in leucine content so that they can facilitate that muscle protein synthesis cascade. That's just like the process that you need to build muscle and maintain muscle, right? Rather than break it down, you want to synthesize more protein, right? So those are my non-negotiables. You got to be able to feel good during your workout, which really, really depends on getting enough carbohydrates around your workout, getting enough protein throughout the day, getting enough fats throughout the day for sure as well. And then you want to be able to prioritize protein, right? Based on your body weight, should be somewhere within 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Okay. That's your range there. Even higher than 2.2 is an option. A lot of high level athletes probably need more than 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight when it comes to protein. But as long as you're hitting that 1.6 to 2.2 range, you're probably fine. And for people who don't like the metric system, if you just do 1 gram per pound of body weight, that's usually your upper end of the protein that you should be consuming. Okay. So that's what it takes to get strong and jacked. There's a lot more that goes into it besides those two main things, but I wanted to make sure I touched on those two main things. Okay. Same person asked me, can I still get strong and jacked even if I drink alcohol? And this is a good one, right? Because I don't know when this started happening, but we all like started to feel bad for drinking alcohol because it's bad for you and it's going to kill all your gains, right? I'm really, you guys know how I am, and I don't think that anything is off limits. Anything in moderation is completely acceptable when it comes to your nutrition. Whether it's chocolate cake, whether it's Sour Patch Kids, or whether it's a beer here and there or some wine, nothing is off limits in my mind, right? If you are finding yourself drinking alcohol in excess, every single weekend, if you find that you're getting drunk or that you're blacking out, obviously, if you're ready for that type of thing to change, you want to go see a professional. I am not equipped to help you with that. But this was in the context of, a beer at dinner or a glass of wine or cider at dinner. You can definitely still get strong and jacked if you drink alcohol in moderation. Okay. A lot of these studies that have been done on the effects of alcohol on muscle mass, a lot of them are like really, really pumping the alcohol. Like these people are drinking large amounts of alcohol and getting drunk and then doing a workout, and then they're measuring the degree of muscle protein synthesis afterward, after the workout is over, right? So if you're there's a difference between just ingesting some alcohol, having a serving or two, and then getting drunk, right? And getting, having a large bolus of alcohol into your system. First of all, you should not drink and work out. That's very, very unsafe. So I'm assuming they had plenty of supervision in these trials, but so those studies have shown a reduction in muscle protein synthesis after the workout, right? So the groups who drank had lower muscle protein synthesis. The groups that didn't drink had higher muscle protein synthesis. The groups that drank but had salt as a supplement, like an electrolyte supplement, had, had less of a reduction, but it was still lower than the control group, right? So there's this dehydrating effect basically of alcohol, and that can really, really take a toll on you in terms of what you're able to do the next day in the gym, in terms of how you're feeling, in terms of your food choices, right? If you are getting a little bit of a buzz or you're feeling thirsty, you might reach for something that tries to quench that thirst, or you might be eating some salty things at the bar, or, you know, you just might not feel as good the next day, kind of influences the choices that you make. So those are all like the things to consider when it comes to alcohol. But alcohol itself, one serving, is not going to turn you into like a catabolic monster. Like, you're not going to get into a catabolic state or a muscle breakdown state and lose all of your gains. Alcohol is technically a macronutrient. So it carries 7 calories per gram as its energy density. Compare that to carbohydrates and protein, which both carry 4 calories per gram, right? And then fats carry 9 calories per gram. So a little bit on the higher end, right? That's why the peanut butter scoop, when we say it's 1 tablespoon, we're like really, really sad when this is our, you know, our tablespoon is like the size of a fist. And we're like, what is 1 tablespoon? You got to be careful with that, because fats are so calorically dense, right? They carry a lot of calories for a very small space or surface or area. Volume, that's it. Anyways, this 1 drink of alcohol, you are going to ingest some calories. If you're in an overall calorie deficit or an overall calorie balance, meaning that the calories that you expend throughout the day and the calories that you ingest throughout the day are about even, then you're going to maintain your weight. Even if this side, the calories in, I think it was this side, even if calories in include some alcohol, right? As long as there's that balance, you're not necessarily going to gain weight. If you haven't eaten much throughout the day, right, and the scale starts to tip and your expenditure is greater than your intake, even if there are some alcohol calories on this side of intake, you're still going to be in a deficit and you're still going to accomplish some weight loss, right? So I think the problem comes when we maybe intend to have a drink or 2, but then some unintended consequences follow with that choice, right? We start to eat some really, really decadent foods when we're drinking and we're with friends and it's like a social occasion, which is completely fine. That's life. We're creatures that need that connection and that fun. And that's just, what are you going to do? Never go to a special occasion again in your life because you're afraid of alcohol and how it's going to kill your gains? No, you don't have to be afraid of that. So I hope that explanation kind of helped you get a framework as to, is alcohol going to make me fat? Well, not necessarily, as long as I'm either in an energy balance or a deficit, right? In terms of calories in and calories out. Is it going to kill all of my gains or make me catabolic or make me lose muscle? Not necessarily. A lot of the studies that have shown that are on subjects who are truly alcoholics, right? They're suffering from alcoholism. So imagine that big influx of alcohol paired with very, very poor nutrition habits, right? Those people typically aren't getting enough protein at all. They're typically just not getting enough calories overall from actual food. They're getting it all from like alcoholic beverages. So keep that in mind, that's not going to apply to your 1 beer at dinner or your 1 glass of wine every night after work, you know? So I am totally pro alcohol in moderation when it comes to getting strong and jacked. So I hope that answered your question. And then I'll do one more question. This was a super interesting one. Someone asked me this week, do I ever, and this is not a reflection on this person at all, it was purely out of curiosity. Do I ever coach athletes who are on PEDs or performance enhancing drugs? So in this context, they were referring to illegal PEDs, right? Like steroids. So the answer is no, I do not ever coach athletes who are on PEDs. My own view of PEDs or steroids has changed dramatically in recent years. I really do believe that athletes who choose to be on PEDs have the right to do whatever they want with their body. I don't have any judgment, especially with the pressures of being a professional athlete or a bodybuilder or anything like that. They should have the ability to make that choice, whether or not it's legal in the sport. I'm not even going to comment. That's like way over my head. But I don't necessarily judge those people for being on PEDs. Now, that's not to say that people shouldn't consider the negative side effects, right? So the reason I would never coach an athlete who uses steroids is because of all of the health side effects, right? All of the possible negative effects on the person's health, especially women. So there are people out there who are very, very qualified in working with these types of athletes, and they know all of the different interactions between the different drugs and how they might interact with your medication, and all of the possible side effects, which ones are reversible and which ones are not, how to tailor your nutrition based on when you're taking these things and how much. It's just so involved and so meticulous when done right. That's the point. When done right, it's it requires a lot of mental energy to make sure you're doing everything correctly and safely. But very rarely do people put that kind of effort into it, right? They just kind of do it and they're like, all right, I'm going to get big and shredded and ripped and all that stuff. So I am not qualified to work with someone who is taking steroids. I just don't have the knowledge base. And in my opinion, I work with mainly women, and I wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't be the best one to be honest with that woman when it comes to all of the potential negative side effects, right? So she needs to see someone who is, who knows their shit, right? Because before you know it, your voice is 2 octaves deeper, and you can't do anything about that, once it's done. So I hope that, clears that up. This person, again, was asking purely out of curiosity. One thing that does piss me off is that a lot of athletes or influencers or public figures just aren't open about their PED use, which is super misleading to the public. I've looked at so many people online and thought, wow, they have such a nice body. I wish I could look like that, blah, blah, blah. And that person is, now I look back, they're clearly using something, right? Which, again, no judgment that they're using something, but misleading to the public when they aren't very open about it. Someone who is very open about it is powerlifter Hunter Henderson. She competes in bodybuilding as well, and she's super open about her usage, as well as her teammate Brianni Terry. They're very, very open about it, which is like super taboo because none of these women are forthright with their PED use. So they're kind of trying to break the stigma a little bit and trying to let everyone know that, like, look, if you see someone online who is shredded and ripped, you can probably safely assume that they're using something. It's just not realistic for us to look up to these people and think that it's attainable, right? So we need to be real, for sure. And anybody who's a bodybuilder who's competing in the IFBB, just assume that they're using, right? Because you do not feel like you can compare your natural body with their shredded, peeled on stage, body. Okay. So I hope that gives some people like a little bit more of a realistic outlook on that. Again, props to some of these people who are using PEDs. They're doing amazing things. They're setting world records. They're winning the Olympia. They're just really pushing the limit on what the human body can do. And I have nothing but respect for those people, right? It's just, it gets very iffy when the general public is misled and ends up wanting to try something and is not aware of all of the possible downsides, right? It's just not fair to them. So, all right, guys, I'm coming up on 30 minutes. I hope that was semi-helpful. I'm going to timestamp everything on here so that you guys know when to click and which questions you like have the most interest in. And I hope to make this like a monthly thing. I want to do a nutrition themed one and a training themed one. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of delineation between nutrition and training on these Q&As. Keep sending me your questions as they come in. I'll just kind of keep them written down and we'll just get through the ones that we can each month. And let me know if you have any feedback as well. Besides the fact that my camera is like a piece of crap right now, I look so pixelated, but any other feedback aside from that is totally welcome. All right. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a great night and I will talk to you soon.